Hello and welcome to Pabbly. In this video, we are going to understand how to send Salesforce lead to other application using API by Pabbly. Now let's assume that we want that every time a new contact is created in Salesforce, then we want to create a contact in Brevo. To do that, we'll have to integrate Salesforce with Brevo account. But let's say that Brevo doesn't have a native integration with Pabbly Connect. In that case, we can use this feature by Pabbly, which is API by Pabbly, and then we can use this feature to send data to Brevo account. Now to do this, we will have to integrate Salesforce with API by Pabbly, and we can do the same using Pabbly Connect. So my trigger application will be Salesforce, where as soon as a contact is created, then with the help of this feature by Pabbly, which is API, then automatically the data will be sent to Brevo account and a contact would be created there. Now to understand how you can integrate and automate this entire process yourself, let's begin. So this here is the dashboard of Pabbly Connect software, and you can reach here by clicking on the link which is given in the video description. So if you are an existing user, simply sign in, and if you are a new user, you will have to sign up. It is not going to take more than 2 minutes. Now once you reach the dashboard, on the right hand side there's a tab Create Workflow. Click on this. This dialog box has appeared, and here you will have to name your workflow. So here I'm going to name it as Send Salesforce Lead using API by Pabbly. Of course, you can give it any random name. I'm going to click on Create. And as we do that, here we have reached another window which has got two extremely important events. One here is trigger, another one is action. Now triggers and actions are basically those two principles or concepts on which this entire automation works. Trigger is when this happens, action says do this. Basically, action here is the automated response of our trigger application. Let's understand this with the help of an example. So every time you make a payment, so when you swipe the card and the amount is debited, so you get a response on SMS or WhatsApp about the amount debited. Now this happens with the help of automation. In such a case, your trigger will be the payment gateway, and your action application will be any application with which you can send these messages. I hope you have understood this. Now let's come to our use case. So here my trigger application will be Salesforce. Let's click on this. Next is the trigger event. So the trigger event here will be new lead. Now here on the right hand side, you can see that this trigger will check for new data in 10 minutes, which means that our trigger application is polling based, and this workflow is going to run in every 10 minutes to fetch for new data. So here I'm going to click on connect, and as we do that, here Pabbly Connect wants to connect with Salesforce account. I'm going to select add new connection, connect with Salesforce. Now here we have to allow the access, so I'm going to click on allow here. So we can see here that the authorization has been successful. So once this is done, here we have to enter the instance URL. So this here is the URL, and within this we have this as our instance. So if this here is the URL, so this number AP16 is your instance. So to get our instance URL, so we have to go to setup, left sidebar, company profile, company information. So this here is my Salesforce account. Here we have to go to setup. Now here in the left hand side panel, we have company profile. So I'm going to click on this. Now within company profile, we have company information. Now here, this is the instance given. So I'm going to copy this, go back to Pabbly Connect, and here I'm going to paste the same. So once this is done, so I'm going to click on save and send test request. And as we do that, here we have received the response. So this response that we have received is of the last lead that was created in Salesforce. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take you back to Salesforce, and I'm going to create a lead there. So let's go to Salesforce. Now here I'm going to take you to home. Now what is my objective? I want to create a new lead. So I'm going to click on this, click on go. As we do that, here we have to fill in this information. So let's say here the first name is Smart. The last name here is user456. Then we have the name of the company. Here we have the title. Let's say it is Mr. And then we have the lead source. Now here let's say the lead source is web. Then we have the campaign. So if you want, you can add the name of a campaign. Industry, let's say the industry here is communications. Then we have the annual revenue, my text field, URL. So we can add all this information. So here I'm going to change this email address to smart456@pabblytuts.com, And again here I'm going to change the email address to smart456@pablitudes.com. So once I have added the information, what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly click on save. Let's click on save here, and we can see that this new lead has been created, taking you back to Pabbly Connect. So here I'm going to click on save and send test request once again. And here we can see we have received the details of our new lead that we have just created. So as I take you down, this here is the phone number. This here is the complete name. Here is the last name. Then we have the industry. This here is the ID. Here we have the first name. This here is the email address. Again, we have the email address. Here is the name of the country, the name of the company, city, and then we have the address. Now, once we have received this information, I want, with the lead that I have just created, I want to create another lead in, let's say, Brevo account. Let's assume that Brevo doesn't have a native integration with Pabbly Connect. In that case, I'm going to use this feature by Pabbly, which is API. So here API step allows you to connect with other applications through their API. It will be useful if the native integration for any application is not available inside Pabbly Connect. Okay, so in that case, what we have to do, here we have to fill in this information. To understand this, what I'm going to do is I have taken you to Brevo Developers API account, and this is developers.brevo.com. Here we have gone to API reference. Now since we are creating a contact, so I'm going to take you to contacts, and here we are creating a contact. So first of all, here the action event is post. So I'm going to select the action event as post. Why? Because we are sending the information to someplace else. Then we need the endpoint URL. So here basically the information will be sent to this endpoint URL. For this, again, I'm going to take you to Brevo, and here this is the final endpoint URL. So I'm going to copy this, and here I'm going to paste the same. So Pabbly Connect is going to take all the information that it has received through Salesforce, and it is going to send this information to this endpoint URL. Next is the payload type. So I'm going to take you back here. So here as I take you down, you can see here the application is JSON. So the payload type is JSON. Now do you want to wrap request in array? So I have selected no. Next is authentication. So for this authentication, if I take you here, so you can see here it is requiring a header for authorization. So here I am not going to select no auth, basic auth or bearer token. Instead I'm going to select add headers. Now let's go back here. And here for the headers, as I take you down, this here is the header. Remember that the header has to be written exactly in the same format. So I have copied this, and here I'm going to paste the same. Now here we have to enter the value of the API key. For this, I'm going to take you to Brevo account. Now within this, we are going to click on this profile. Here we have SMTP and API. Now I'm going to generate a new API key. Let's say the name here is test demo. Let's click on generate. As soon as I do that, this here is the API key. I'm going to copy this, and this is the value that I'm going to paste here. Now what is going to happen? So every time you receive some data, so it is going to send this data to this particular API key. Now this header is required because it needs authentication that yes, the information has to be sent to this particular API key. Now once this is done, here we are going to set the parameters. This is absolutely important. So here we have to set the parameters. For setting up the parameters, first of all we need the email. So here it is written body parameters. So first of all we need the email. So I'm going to copy this email, and here I'm going to paste the same. Now we are going to map the value of this email address. How? So as I click on this, you can see the previous step. And as I take you down, this here is the email address of the person. Now this method with which I have added the information here is known as mapping, and this is important so that every time the workflow runs, it can take the new data into consideration. If I had written this email address manually, then even when I had received some new information from Salesforce, it wouldn't have taken that. Instead, it would have always taken the same information. So to avoid that, we map this. Now here you can see we haven't mapped the API key. Why? Because this value is static. This is not going to change. But this value is dynamic. Since it is going to change every time, we have mapped this information. Similarly, you can add a lot of labels. You have to just click on this plus icon. Then you have to add the label here and the value here. So if you wish to add the first name, last name, in that case, all you have to do is you have to add the attributes and then your work is done. Here I'm going to click on save and send test request. And as I do that, here we have received a response according to which now this particular contact must be created as a new lead in Brevo. Let's go and check the same. So here is my Brevo account. I'm going to take you to contacts. Let's go to all contacts. And yes, here we can see this particular contact has been created. So this means our integration is a complete success. Now let's check the same in real time. So I'm going to take you back to Salesforce. And here I'm again going to create a new lead. Let's click on go here. And now let's say the first name here is dummy. The last name here is person. Then we have the name of the company. Let's say it is ABC Limited. Okay, now all this information is not required. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly enter the email address, which is dummyperson@pabblytudes.com. And again here I'm going to enter the phone number. So this here is the phone number. Let's enter the mobile number as well. Here I'm going to enter the email address, which is dummyperson@pabblytudes.com. And yes, once we are done with entering all the information, now here we have to add the address. So this here is the address, and now I'm going to click on save. So once this is done, our lead is created. Now within 10 minutes, why 10 minutes? Because this application is polling based. Now within next 10 minutes, this particular lead should be created as a new contact in Brevo. So we are going to wait for 10 minutes and then we are going to check our Brevo account. So it's been 10 minutes and now I'm going to take you to my Brevo account, and here we are going to go to contacts. And as we go here, yes, you can see dummy person. This particular contact has been created here. This means our integration is a complete success. Taking you back to Pabbly Connect, let's quickly understand what we have done. So here our trigger was Salesforce, where the event was new lead. Then our action was a feature by Pabbly, which is API. This is a module where our event was to send data. I hope this is absolutely clear to you. If in case you have any doubt, you can refer to the workflow which is given in the video description. You can also clone the same and start to process immediately. Apart from this, if you have any specific integration that you wish to work on, you can always write to us. Not only this, but you can integrate multiple applications using Pabbly Connect software. To ask any of your query, you have to write at forum.pabbly.com. You can also visit our website, which is www.pabbly.com/connect. To get all the details about the latest updates, the integrations and applications, you can visit our Facebook group. If in case you have found this video helpful, then do not forget to share this with your friends and colleagues so that they can also get into automation and make their life easy. I'm going to see you very soon with different integrations and automations. Do not forget to like, share and subscribe. Take care of yourself.